Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Life, where today we're talking about this lovely specimen here. Now, it's not a very large specimen, but considering what it took to get this bugger to this state from seed, oh boy, that's kind of a story. Well, anyway, the scientific name of this plant is Diplotaxis tenuifolia, which is commonly known as Perennial Arugula. I know. I was excited too. The idea of a perennial arugula that I don't have to sow every year and don't have to fuss over as much. Oh, that's a plant after my own heart, but geez, from seed, what a pain in the butt. Anyway, it's still in the Brassicaceae family, which is the cabbage family, sometimes called the mustard family, and both names are still better than its old-timey name, the rapeseed family. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking back in the day, but anyway, diplos from Diplotaxis means twofold or double, which actually refers to its seeds, and I'll get to that in a moment. But also, taxis comes from tasso or tassine, which means to put in order or align, double line. Therefore, it's referring to the fact that the seeds in the seed pods sit side by side in two rows, neatly, like soldiers on the march or in formation. And so that's where Diplotaxis comes from. Tenuifolia refers to the shape of the leaves because the folia is the dead giveaway. Anyway, it is native to West Asia and Europe. Okay? And there are pictures on the Wikipedia page, if you look this up, of it growing in Britain. So that should tell you something. It's hardy in USDA zones 5 through 9, and it is considered a perennial. And since we're in 8A, it's definitely a perennial, but we're not quite in the furthest reaches of its southern expanse. Its pH preference is 6 to 6.8, though there's not a lot of information on that, so it may be a wider range than that. Possibly. Its exposure is partial sun. Everyone agrees on that. Its height can be 12 to 24 inches, and its width can be 6 to 12. Now, 6 to 12 is my estimation. There was no information on potential width of this plant, which is okay with me, really. The height seems to be agreed across multiple sources, so that seems to be pretty solid. Now, it's also known as wild rocket, arugula, and perennial wall rocket. I could believe the perennial wall rocket part. Most arugulas are called rocket something or other. You know, Team Arugula rocket blasting off again or something. But anyway, perennial wall rocket is understandable, and that's probably a British common name for it because a lot of the pictures of it in Britain are it bus growing through masonry on a wall. So that makes perfect sense. Likewise, I mean, why it's called rocket, I'm assuming it has something to do with the way the flowers will just shoot up and it'll suddenly be blooming after weeks of being normal. I'm guessing. Anyway, what I do know is that this particular variety, which, by the way, I bought the seed through Botanical Interests, and no, they did not sponsor this video in any way, shape, or form. I'm just one of their happy customers. According to Seed Packet, these are mature in 30 to 50 days. This guy is about on track, but, I mean, it's not exactly a large plant, which is okay. Anyway, the arugula bought in stores by comparison is Aruca vesicaria. So it is a different plant, it's not the same thing. The foliage itself in this particular arugula is high in ascorbic acid, carotenoids, and polyphenols, and I would presume nutritionally it's not that different than store-bought mature arugula. Baby arugula just, no thank you. Okay, well let me put it this way. This is one of my pet peeves about baby greens. They don't taste like anything. People claim they taste like anything, but they're bland because they haven't developed the phytochemicals to actually give them proper flavor. And arugula is a great example of this because mature arugula has a nutty flavor, and it's literally, in my opinion, smells and tastes like peanuts. And I say that because I have a recipe where I cook with arugula, and it's pasta fazool, and it requires arugula for flavoring. Well, if you've cooked a couple bunches of mature arugula, it smells sort of like peanuts. And so you can get the peanut flavor minus the allergy problems. Not that I have peanut allergies, but some of you out there may. And so it's a way to enjoy something without risk. Ta-da! Right? So, but baby arugula doesn't have any of that. And it usually costs more. F that. I want flavor, dang it. I want horticultural flavor. And baby arugula just ain't swinging it. So there's that. That's one of my pet peeves. Now, as I mentioned, it grows in the cracks and walls. It's been found growing in beaches in Britain. I'm sure sandy soil is not an impediment to it. But what's interesting is the flowers and the foliage are both edible. But, way too many buts in this. By the time the flowers come out, the foliage may have changed flavor. So what you want to do, like in this case here, this is the flower stalk. I snipped off the flowers because I don't want it to bloom. I want it to get bigger. I mean, I don't think it would die after it blooms because it is a perennial, but still, it is a very young plant. It's just not wise to let it bloom. And I mean, look at that foliage. But anyway, so the whole plant is edible, except for the root, as far as I know. I know that the central stem of it can be a little woody, so you're picking leaves and you're picking flowers specifically. But hey, perennial arugula is worth it. Who the heck wants to regrow this stuff every year? Now, about that propagation stuff. So, propagating this is kind of a pain in the butt. The seed is small, and oversowing is a thing. This is one plant that survived out of 4 cells, and it's doing just fine. And it took forever to get to this size, because I started that seed in February. That's a pretty long time. That's obviously more than 30 to 50 days, but okay. What's great about these plants is that they're flavorful. Now, the seed will take its sweet time coming up. Weather will mess with this, of course. I would recommend using a humidity dome propagation, a normal propagation mix, or straight potting soil without any fancy modifiers attached to it. Cell packs will be fine, but if you've got like the Parks Biodome, that's not an advertisement, or something fancy like that, it should work just fine. Don't rush to harden them off because they initially will be very touchy about that. I think that's how I lost a bunch of mine. But anyway, that's the summary of perennial arugula. Now, if you have any thoughts on growing perennial arugula, or you have grown it and have tips and tricks you want to share, put them in the comments section. If there's any thoughts, any questions you have regarding perennial arugula, go ahead and ask. I will probably come back to this plant with a follow-up video showing it in a larger form once it matures more. But for now, this is all I have. So, if you like this video, please hit the like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. The Forge blog is still rolling on, so you can hit that up at your leisure. And as always, folks, keep them growing, and thanks for watching.